Everybody, welcome to the first stream of the year. I hope everybody had some very nice winter vacations and that you're all energized for this new year. I didn't have much of winter vacations because I have a revisor with deadline on in 2 weeks. So spent Christmas writing. Anyway, so today I want to talk about a very common practice or an increasingly common practice among academics, which is sharing publications on Twitter, right? So this is basically posting on Twitter or LinkedIn, occasionally on Facebook, that you have published a paper. Okay. Now I don't do this, although I do publish papers. I do publish papers in very good journals, but I don't do this. I only did this twice in my career. First one was for my first MS Quarterly paper. I think my mental health wasn't where it should be at the time. Yeah. More recently, I posted on a paper where I was fourth author, and I wanted to really support my co-authors in the paper. So I did do that, but I don't do that. I've had some pretty significant successes with one of my papers being recently inducted into a curated collection at MS Quarterly. I have not posted about this. And why didn't I post about this or about papers that I publish? The first and most important reason for me is that this eats away, distracts from, weakens the process perspective on writing. And what do I mean by this? What is this process perspective and why does it matter? The process perspective is basically focusing on the process of writing instead of focusing on publications. The assumptions are three. The first one is that if you do the process right, you will eventually publish papers. Not all the papers, not everything that you write, but you will eventually publish. The second view is that you cannot control outcomes. So if you cannot control outcomes, focusing on those outcomes is just going to be a source of anxiety and frustration. See all of the reviewer 2 comments and jokes on social media. The third thing is that a focus on outcomes really doesn't help you improve as a writer because you cannot control outcomes. And so you'll hear people say that, you need to network, you need to work with senior co-authors and so on. That's fine. It may help publish, but it's not something that you can improve directly as an outcome of your writing. So I focus on process because process helps me improve. Process helps me reduce anxiety, improve my mental health, and it allows me to anchor my efforts and my thoughts on where I can most impact my research, which is the process of coding, analyzing data, collecting data, analyzing data, and writing that data. Okay, so for me, that's the big one. If you are sharing outcomes, it's very difficult not to focus on outcomes, right? Because at least the research that I write from says that your thoughts are the consequence of your actions, not the other way around. So if your actions are about process, then your thoughts will be on process. Okay. Second, there is plenty of research that sharing on social media has damaging effects on others as well, not only on yourself, but also on others' mental health. I haven't seen, and I did do some research preparing for the video, I haven't seen a lot on, career success, on the negative effects of sharing career success. But if you look at research on Instagram, it really shows that, portraying your life as, fun, enjoyable, and successful has a damaging effect on peers. And so even if that is good for you, it is being done at the expense of others' mental health. This is a personal choice on ethics. So it is my choice, but I do think that it is a really important reason why you shouldn't do this. The third thing is that focusing on outcomes reproduces and reinforces the current emphasis on on counting things rather than focusing on the quality of research. And I think that as scholars, we need to introduce this balance in the discussion of measuring research performance. Okay, so for me, those are the big three reasons why I don't post on social media. The most important one, selfish, is that I want to continue to focus on the process of writing, on what I can control, on what I can improve, on what reinforces my skills and helps my mental health, rather than focusing on outcomes which are dependent on reviewers, which are dependent on luck, on when you submit your paper, who you get assigned as reviewers, things that I cannot control, and things that induce anxiety, distract me from improving on what I can control. Second, very important as well, focus on others. That this has damaging effects on peers that are maybe much smarter than myself, but just started from a disadvantaged position. Now, you could say, okay, but how about jobs, right? I mean, isn't Twitter important for hiring, for getting known? And how about the visibility of my research? I'll start with the visibility, which is the easier one for me. Definitely, you want your research to be visible, and one of the reasons you publish in top journals is because top journals are more read. People pay more attention to the papers that are in top journals, so it means that your research reaches more people. But if you look at what people post on Twitter and LinkedIn, they'll post, I publish a paper titled this on this journal, and then they'll cite the impact factor of the journal and the ranking on the journal and so on. This is not about making your research visible. This is about bragging rights for publishing in top journals. You're not diffusing the content of your research so that it is cited. You're presenting an image of yourself as somebody who is successful. Just like, posting pictures on Instagram or of being a happy couple and so on and so forth. There's nothing wrong with that, but that is not about visibility of your research. Can you use these networks to make your research more visible? Yes, of course. If I see a paper that, and the author bothers to post the abstract of the paper in an image on Twitter, I'll take a look, and if it's in my field, I'll, probably download the paper. But, there's this joke about academics. You see it all the time on Twitter, especially around the summer, where, we all have like all of these PDFs to download. So I'll just open DefinThink here and show you my my PDF folder, right? So I have here, read this, okay? Or is this? Well, I don't have, actually don't have, oh yeah, because I have a search here. Okay, so these here are all pieces that I read, that I downloaded from Twitter. So these are 37 papers that are in my read this folder, which means that I haven't read, which were papers that people shared on Twitter. And there's obviously this is my own practice, but there's a common joke about, downloading PDFs that you'll never read, right? As an academic. So, I really doubt the effectiveness of this practice of sharing things on Twitter as a means to increase the visibility of your research. If you want to do this, there's a practice that I heard about when I was at MIT, which was one of the faculty there would literally email people that they cited on each paper that they published and said, look, I wrote this paper based on your research. Here's the manuscript for you to take a look. And they swore by it. So, just think intelligently about visibility. How about jobs? Well, I did read significant research for this video, and basically what I found is that the impact is at best uncertain on jobs. I've been hiring people for the past 5 years, and there were 3 times where what somebody posted on Twitter mattered, and these were 3 times where people posted, I'm looking for a job, do you know about openings? So what I did is I went to check these people's CV, and and then I, if they matched, basically I told them, look, why don't you apply for this position in my school? So I just basically did the job search a little bit for them, in a way, or help them facilitate that process. I didn't know about the research of one of these people. The other 2 I didn't know about the research. But even for the person that I did know about the research, I don't think I've ever seen them post about it on Twitter. But I still had to check their CV. So what I would say is, in my experience, the impact is marginal when compared with your CV. So so definitely, I only have my case in the 2 institutions where I was partially responsible for hiring people, but in that case, the impact was pretty low, and most people don't actually that we hired don't actually have any Twitter presence whatsoever. What does this mean? Well, what I would say is that for me, what this means is that the disadvantages of sharing publications on Twitter are significant, and the advantages are marginal. So I would go. So my personal choice is not sharing. If you want to share, then my piece of advice for at least going to the downloaded folder of downloaded PDFs that you want to read in the future is make sure that you share on Twitter, that you share a print screen of your abstract, and that you emphasize the topic of the paper and the message rather than the impact factor of the journal where it is published. I would ask you to consider about the consequences of doing so for your mental health, distracts you from focus on process, and for the mental health of other people. Okay, so I hope you. Sorry, I got a notification from Twitch, just wondering if it was somebody chatting. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, the point is not saying that there's anything wrong with people that post these updates online, but that I just wanted to highlight the negative effects of doing so. My research based doubts on the positive effects of doing so, and help you make a more conscientious choice about doing so. Okay. On that note, best of luck for your research, and I hope this civil year treats you as well as you deserve. Bye, everybody.